see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I'm tired of being born, even worse, I'm blessed. My stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a person to snatch. Cops give a damn about a Negro. Pull a trigger, kill him, he's a hero. Get it to the kids who the hell cares. One less hungry mouth, one no.
What is racism? Racism is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. We'll be doing a video on African Americans and how they are viewed in today's society and how Caucasians have more opportunities than we do. People are not born racist. Racism is a learned behavior over time. The cause of racism is parents, siblings, guardians, and children's lives who raised them to be racist, or installed the concept into their brains. We did surveys around campus asking people do they know what racism is and racism in today's society. Here's a picture of our survey that we passed around on campus. We did graphs showing the percentage of how many people we surveyed and what they felt and thought. Incidents that are showed as being racist.
One example of a racial incident that occurred at a university was at the University of North Dakota that involved three white female students who had black facial masks on and captioned the Snapchat Black Lives Matter in a joking manner. At the State University of New York at Brockport, the comment "niggas deserve to die" was written on a whiteboard inside the dormitory that houses many minorities. At Ohio State University, located on a graffiti wall near Bentley Hall, there was a racist comment that said "build the wall," and on the other end was a human figure looked to be hanging from a tree. At the University of Michigan, many KKK graffiti has been reported to the police and prompted many KKK marches.
37% of the people arrested for drug offense are African Americans. After being arrested, African Americans are 33% more likely than whites to be detained while facing a felony trial. Do you think that's showing equality? We have studied that applying to college, minorities tend to not be given the same rights as others. That's when we took our project to social media and hashtag equality. We took our project to social media showing that we need equality, and with equality, things could get better. And not only did we take it to Twitter, but we also took it to Snapchat with equality, showing that we need it. We asked a question on Twitter: do you feel that racism still exists? With people answering the questions on how they feel and what they believe as well. How do you feel about racism in today's society?
I think it's something that people should have been over with for a while now, considering that it's something that you don't see put out as much as it was back in the day because of a lot of people who find it unacceptable and that will say something about it and tell you how they feel about you if you do condone in racist ways and ideals. I feel like it's something that needs to die and just shouldn't even be a problem nowadays, considering how diverse the world is and places that you go, and that people should believe that they're all equal regardless of what they look like on the outside or where they come from
I
or
feel as though with the
anything.
police brutality is getting worse because when white cops see a black person, they automatically get defensive and think that they are in danger. It is dehumanizing the black community.
Are you aware of what racism is?
Yes, I am.
How do you feel about racism in today's society? What do you think about it?
I feel like racism is very obvious in today's society. Like this generation is just it's worse than how it used to be. I think, and with all the politics and everything, I think it's only getting worse. Black.
Have you ever been in? Do you think that African Americans are treated different than whites in today's society?
Yes, I think that African Americans have always been treated differently, and it's getting worse.
Do you think that someone has ever not experienced racism?
I don't think anyone has ever not experienced racism. I feel like I have. I just don't recall. Maybe it wasn't that serious, but I think everybody runs into it at least once in their lives.
Do you think that racism will ever end, or do you think it will get worse?
I don't think it will ever end. I'm not sure if it'll get worse. Right now, I think it's getting worse, but it may improve. But no, there'll always be people that's prejudiced.
Racism today is still very much so alive. Minorities today still have to work twice as hard just to get a decent lifestyle or to attain certain opportunities in their work field. An example of this is shown in our own presidential debate between Hillary and Donald Trump. The candidates are manipulating their campaign to win popular votes in certain communities, even if that's not a reflection of their own personal views. And that being said, now that Donald Trump is president, you will see racism more in the open than you would have before. He gives a sense of power to them, a hope in turning whatever their views of making America great again. To me, it's a disaster. I feel and I fear for my own life when walking on these streets. These next 4 years will be nothing less than of hell.
I feel that it is very sad that you hear about racism every day in day-to-day talk. I think that it is sad that racism is still a big epidemic in today's society and you aren't just hearing about it in history. I feel like it is sad that people still have to deal with racism in today's world. You have people who died to end segregation and racism and it still continues today.
Are you aware of what racism is?
Yes.
How do you feel about racism in today's society, and what do you think about it?
I think it's getting worse. It's something that a lot of people are taught these days, and they teach their children, and so it just gets worse as they get older.
Do you think that racism will ever end, or do you think that it will get worse?
I don't think it will end, and it probably will get worse.
I feel as if racism takes a huge part in today's society, especially dealing with politics and police brutality. It's getting worse and worse as the days goes by. Me being an African American woman notices the pain and sorrow in the black community. Each and every day, black men are getting killed by police. Most people in society are unaware to what extent racism is present in the various communities, neighborhoods, and states. Racism is very much existent in our society even today, and people need to become aware of this and start finding ways by which they can solve this problem. However, individuals can learn to become a racist through the process of socialization, which occurs from childhood to adulthood. We have to change this so the world can become a better place.
Have you ever been in a racist situation, conflict, or know anybody that has been treated in a racist way?
My name is Yasmin, and I experience racism, and people looking at me differently and talking about me all the time. I dated this handsome white boy in high school. Everybody talked about us because we wasn't dating our own kind, but all we knew was we loved each other, trying to stay on top of academics and not trying to listen to what everybody had to say. But of course, his family got involved, and that was very much hard on us. So we started drifting. All I knew is that racism is not the best thing to go through. And having people look at you and pick on you and discriminate you because you're not with your own
what's your name, and what type of college do you attend?
My name is Robert Jones, and I attend the PWI.
Can you give a time where you dealt with racism, and how did it make you feel?
One time I was at practice, and we were going through a drill, and one of my teammates called me a nigga. I didn't appreciate it. I tried to fight him, but they stopped me. It made me feel like he tried to make himself higher than I was, and this is the 21st century, and you're not finna call me out of my name. So yeah, it made me feel like that's not finna happen right now.
Do you ever think like racism is going to end, or it's going to get worse?
I think racism is gonna get worse because people are getting bolder by the day, and yeah, more disrespectful, and I don't like being disrespected, so it's gonna get worse.
Anyone else? I have never seen it. I have never felt like anyone has ever been racist to me, and I've never seen it personally to anyone. I see it like on social media when you see videos of somebody talking racist to somebody else.
Have you ever been in a situation or conflict where someone acted racist towards you, or seen somebody else getting treated in a very racist way?
I don't recall being in a racist situation, but something just recently happened to my aunt. She went to a store and the lady, she went to pay on her account, and the lady said that she had something to do, and so my aunt was like, okay, well, I'll wait. But then a lady from another race walks up, and the woman, you know, did her or took care of her before she did my aunt.
And what color is the lady?
The lady was white.
And what color is your aunt?
My aunt is black.
Thank you.
We did a brief summary on the movie called Rosewood, showing that racism in 1923 compared to now, it still exists. Might not be the same way, but it still exists in today's society.
The movie Rosewood is based on the 1923 massacre in Rosewood, Florida, that claimed dozens of African American lives. At a time when racial tension was incredibly high, the black members of a small, segregated community found themselves unprotected from the hatred of the neighboring white men. When a white woman, Miss Taylor, falsely blames a beating and rape on a black man, it leads to a mob out for blood. Many black people weren't given the due justice of the law, and some considered them guilty just for the color of their skin. Rose would address the injustice served and potential chaos when a society falls to protect and serve all its members equally. Throughout history, people have found any excuse to validate the hate in their hearts, just like in the case of Miss Taylor's claim. Her story was meant to protect herself from the consequences of her infidelity, but it gave an excuse and opportunity for a racist white group to carry out heinous acts of murder on any nearby African American. And that was based on a true story. Another story dealing with racism would be the story of Emmett Till. Emmett Till was a 14-year-old boy who was visiting relatives in Money, Mississippi on August 24, 1955, when he was falsely reported as flirting with a white cashier woman at a grocery store. 4 days later, two white men kidnapped Till, beat him, and shot him in the head. The men was tried for murder, but an all-white male jury acquitted them. Till's murder and open casket funeral galvanized the emerging civil rights movement. Emmett Till in Rosewood plays a major role in today's society because racism is still going on. Let's take police brutality, for instance, or the situation with Trayvon Martin and many other young men and women who have lost their lives because they were black. Black people are still being stereotyped because of the way we look or the way we dress and the color of our skin. So racism is still going on, and it will probably forever.
We have showed you how students feel about racism and how they feel about racism in today's society. Racism is still the same, and if nothing changes, it will only get worse and violence will increase. Race and racism has a lot to do with society. We know that there are no biological factors making one race better than another, and that's why we create this project to show you that society needs to change and be more open-minded. We can create change. We can make society better, but first we have to change how we are viewed.